Shirley Mitchell Livingston, my star of stage, screen, right, and the small box. You're the face everybody knows and the name nobody reads. Because now they make it this big,
That's right. And
they slide the screen over.
The crawl goes so fast you don't see anybody.
You know, I know you now, and I look for you. I'll say, that's Shirley. Now, you've been out in this town for a while, since TV. Well, that's not that long ago.
Before TV.
Well, I know, but I wasn't going to say before TV. You started on radio.
I had just gone to Chicago to try to break into radio. And I used to sit on the 7th floor at NBC just waiting for somebody to notice me. I would go every single day.
In Chicago?
In Chicago.
You would just sit there like Lana Turner? Where? That's great.
On the 7th floor, waiting to be discovered. And one day,
but where? I mean, you were just in a chair?
In a chair.
You're joking.
No, I'm not.
Would you like do anything to get attention?
No, I didn't.
Sit there and wait?
I was too shy.
You're kidding me, really?
I knew that actors and actresses and directors passed by all the time. Betty Lou Gerson, I said, "Oh, Miss Gerson, you're such a wonderful actress." She was the lead in Woman in White. It was a serial. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh, thank you very much. You know, I've noticed you. You're here almost every day."
I can't believe you did that.
Yes. She said, "Well, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm an actress, or I'd like to be an actress." And she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Everything." And she said, "I tell you what, I have a few minutes. Come into the studio with me. I want to hear you." At that time, I didn't know she was married to Joe Ainley, big director. So I went into the studio with her, and I did some impersonations. And when I got through, she said, "I want you to meet my husband." So she arranged an appointment like for the next day, and I met Joe Ainley. And that night, I went out with 2 guys, and they took me to Down the Beachcomber. And I didn't know about Down the Beachcomber. And they said, "What would you like to drink?" Oh, I probably shouldn't tell the story. I wasn't 21.
Oh, what? Hello, what are they going to do?
So they said, "Why don't you try a
waitress?
Scorpion?" And I had this drink. It was like the best milkshake. I had that. I said, "Oh, I think I'll have another one." I had a second one, and I couldn't get up off the street.
Right.
They literally carried me back to the YWCA where I was living.
You were living at the YWCA and waiting in the lobby to be discovered? And it worked.
And it worked.
So you were one of the first people to appear on television.
One day they asked a small group of us to go to the top of Mount Wilson, where they were going to experiment with a new medium called television. Can you imagine?
And they were going to broadcast from Mount Wilson.
Uh-huh.
And you were one of the, so you went up there.
I'll never forget that. It's very vague in my memory now, but it was pretty exciting, except Mount Wilson was so high, and I was terrified of driving up there and driving back down.
So you ultimately wound up on what you'll be remembered for, probably.
Probably, oh, I'm sure.
You know, because...
I mean, the fan mail that I get, because it's never going to end.
Well, I had to say, it was on I Love Lucy, yeah. It's never, I Love Lucy's never, ever going to end. And
no.
That's what, you'll outlive us all, Shirley. I mean,
well, I'll go on forever. That's kind of a nice feeling.
And you were Marion Strong.
Marion Strong.
Marion Strong.
She had a real friend by the name of Marion Strong, and she, because I had done the radio show, she took all the radio people. Everybody did in those days. Mm-hmm. We all, because I'd been on the Jack Benny radio show, I got a steady job on the Jack Benny television show.
You're still working now.
Yes.
You're still going out on auditions now.
Right. And I do a lot of voiceovers.
And you still do the Jack Benny radio show, right, as a live show? Is that right? You did that?
Well, I do conventions. I'm going to Seattle in June to do a Jack Benny show.
Wow, that's so he still has legions of fans.
Oh, yes, and there's a man who does him brilliantly. His name is Eddie Carroll. He looks like him. Really, it's like a reincarnation.
It's like an Elvis show, but it's Jack Benny.
So
you're like one of the dancing girls. And what do? Play a phone operator? Is that right?
Yeah. "Oh, Mabel, it's Blue Eyes again."
And you've done, I mean, throughout the 60s, you did Green Acres. I've seen you in that. You did.
Oh, I'm glad you remember. Petticoat Junction.
Petticoat Junction. One of my favorite show of all times, the Beverly Hillbillies. The first 2 seasons of that show were.
They were wonderful.
And you, on the Beverly Hillbillies, ate pickled crow gizzard. Did you know that? Upstairs.
I can't remember that.
What was it really? It wasn't, I mean, just...
Pickled crow, no, it was probably some kind of chicken.
Now, let's go back to I Love Lucy, because I kid you about this all the time, every time I see you, and I'm going to make you do it again. Not make you, but I'm going to make you relive it again.
The famous show?
Yeah. You're in the famous show. If nobody knows Shirley Mitchell, they'll know the show, unless they've lived in a box their whole life. You're in the famous episode where Lucy makes a bet that she won't tell a lie.
No, that's right. We insist that she must tell the truth for 24 hours.
Right. Well, Ethel, Fred, and Ricky did in the apartment in an earlier scene, and then Ethel turns to Lucy and she says, "Oh, Lucy, you know, we play bridge at," I can't remember the name of the friends.
Yeah, we play bridge.
"We play bridge tomorrow." "Oh, no, can't we start this bet the day after tomorrow?" "No, you have to tell the truth." "Do you?" And then they go into the apartment and blah, 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 and then you walk in with this hat.
I walk in and I have a hat with crow feathers that bend and come down. I wish I'd kept that hat.
Yeah, I wish you'd kept that hat, too.
Yeah, because then you might get it.
Oh, really? I'd love to have that hat. We should go.
That hat was something. So
I thought it looked great. I mean, I thought it looked great, that hat.
We walk into the scene and I say, "Okay, Lucy, let's start. How old are you?"
Oh, no, no, no. That's not how the scene starts.
Well, how did it start?
It starts where you walk in and Lucy does this. She looks over and you walk in and she turns because she doesn't want to look at your hat. She does this. And she's shoveling the cars. And Ethel says, "Lucy," the other friend, Doris Singleton, says, "Oh, I love your hat." And Ethel says, "Oh, yeah, I love your hat." And Ethel says, "Lucy, what do you think of Marian's hat?" "It's a hat, all right." That's what she said. "Take off your hat and let's play cards." Right. "Lucy, come on, what do you think of it?" And then you say, "Come on, Lucy, what do you think of my hat?" And then Lucy turns to you and she says, "If that's the kind of hat you wanted, you sure got a good one."
You've seen it more recently than I have. I didn't even remember those lines.
Do you know how often I use that line?
Oh,
and then ultimately in the whole thing, she winds up telling you that she really doesn't like your hat, and the reason why, you know, blah, 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 she has to tell the truth. And then...
but then I asked her about her age.
Her age, that's right. One woman asked, "What color would your hair be if you didn't dye it?
Right.
How much do you weigh?" Right. And you say, "How old are you?" Right? And she says, 135, mousy brown, and 33 years or something like that.
And then I go...
Yeah. And then I think she says...
And then she says...
"Stop that cackling. I've been waiting for you to lay..."
I've been waiting for you for 10 years to lay that egg.
Yeah.
Right, that was
and that's it.
Yeah.
That's your legacy. I mean, and among other things, but you know, I mean, come on, that's going to endure. I mean, I live very near Lucy's original house.
I will be in the market at Pavilions, and all of a sudden, some guy will come over to me and say, "I've been waiting 10 years for you to lay that egg."
Really?
No, really.
It is amazing. I mean, that show
killed everybody. And you know, the fact is that now they're bringing the children of the people who were there at that time are bringing their children. So it's just going to go on and on.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Because it holds up so brilliantly.
Yeah, it was, I mean, what was she like to work with?
She was tough. She, if you didn't know, we would have a read-through every week for the new script. And if she didn't like the way a character actor read his lines, that would be the last you'd see of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was tough to get work with Lucille Ball.
Yeah, because you needed to know comedy, you needed to know timing, you had to wait for laughs.
Right.
It was done like a show in the theater. And, but she was really, I thought she was a remarkable woman, and I adored him. He was really a pussycat.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, she loved him, I mean, immensely. If you read
Never
yeah,
died.
it's a sad story. I
Very
guess,
sad.
you know, he had a wandering eye, and I, you know.
And he liked.
Yeah.
He liked to have a drink.
He liked to have a drink.
Yeah.
Or two.
Or two.
Well, there's a lot of stories about them over on Roxbury. I live right nearby, right across the street, quite frankly, from where they live, and it's just an endless parade of Star Tours buses. And now I go out in my pajamas, and you know. Do you know what though? They don't look at me. I could be out there completely naked, and there's not a person who looks at me because they're all looking at Lucy's house. It's an amazing, yeah, it's an amazing legacy. I mean, it's the most visited house. It's the second most visited house in America next to the White House.
But we all agree that once Desi was gone, that was the end. She just couldn't make it on her own. I don't think her heart was in it.
Well, she had a great rapport, or at least a great on-screen rapport with Vivian Vance. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
they were very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, they did the shows they did after that were pretty funny, and I think some of them, but not all the I Love Lucys were particularly. You know, they weren't all hits either. You know, there were some misses in there. So now, obviously, since then, you've done a lot of work. Now, what are you doing? I mean, what keeps you going now, as far as work?
I auditioned for an on-camera last week. I audition constantly for voiceovers. We now do it in our agent's office. And then I'll do a voiceover. And the last thing I did was the record, let's see, the game show for Desperate Housewives. That was about 3 or 4 months ago. I think that's out.
A game show? Oh, you recorded like voices that you can play? Oh, I see.
Yeah. I have a terrible time getting grandmother parts because I don't look like, I don't have white hair and I'm not on a walker, and it's very
Is that what they want? Is that what
exactly
they want?
what they want.
You're the only person in Hollywood that wants whiter hair and to look older and be on a walker.
And to be on a walker.
Really?
And I'm just, every time I went out last week, and the ladies came in with the canes and with the walkers, and they're really on them. And I thought, what am I doing here?
So there's a whole subset of elderly women with canes and walkers that are still going out on auditions?
Going out on auditions.
They want to make it in the business and become like big stars?
Right. And I don't know, only a few of them do I recognize.
You recognize them?
Every woman who grows up and whose children goes away to college, this happens, truly. Tries to get into the business and do commercials.
Oh, commercials.
They think it's so easy.
Yeah, film would be cool. I could see you in film kicking around out there.
Well, then why don't you become a producer and hire me?
You don't look like a grandmother. I'm looking for a grandmother, lady. I'll kick you, a walker. I brought a little friend here just in case you were.
Yeah.
In memory of.
She was adorable.
Well, this is an interesting picture of her because look at her. What a siren she was.
Did she write that to you?
My grandmother had this picture and it was unsigned, to make a long story short. So when I moved out here, I brought it with me and I sent her a little note and asked her to sign it. And Shirley Mitchell, you're on probably right now somewhere in the world.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you are.
I mean, I'm getting fan mail.
Do you get paid for this still? Do you get residuals still?
We never did. It was before Screen Actors Guild.
Really, you don't get anything for that.
Nobody gets anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was like before '68 or whenever the Residuals started, or '64.
But the songs, your husband's songs still continue. Ah, there goes that gleam in the eye. At Christmas when Silver Bells is plays every 5 minutes.
Silver Bells.
Really?
That was his annuity. You know, he was my second husband. We were only married 8 years.
But he was your first love?
But he was my first love.
Yeah, I know. You told me that once. Yeah. And your real love. Your last love? There's no other men in your life?
No.
No, just...
Maybe you.
Just me?
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Shirley.
Oh, it's been so much fun. It's been a pleasure.